They are also expert fishermen, and generally use large circular nets, weighted at the edges, or wickerwork scoops and baskets. Malana was a sea Dayak, equally at home on land or water. Before he was 12, he had learned much from his parents about tribal customs, which would help him to make a living, as well as the existence of evil spirits harmful to human beings. These no one but the Manang, the witch doctor, could placate. But Malana strongly disliked the Manang, who habitually vented his spite on him. All the same, he feared the evil spirits and was always alert for bad omens, such as the fall of a branch in his path. This frightened Malana, but he badly wanted that unusually large fish. So in order to distract the spirit's attention from himself, he substituted a branch in his place and hurried home. There, he told his father what had happened. The Manang was summoned, and the spirit placated with an offering. As Malana watched, he feared for his catch. When the old man refused the customary fee of rice and demanded the fish in payment for his services, Malana felt angry with all a boy's sense of bitter injustice. He hated the Manang for his trickery and oppressive ways. By next morning, he had made up his mind to run away. He left home before anyone was awake, determined to reach Kuching, the capital, where he'd be well out of the reach of his enemy. He had heard rumors of the many wonders to be seen there. Perhaps what he could learn in Kuching would provide the means for future revenge on the Manang. He went by canoe, because the rivers of Sarawak, his part of Borneo, are its roads. But they're dangerous roads for a boy of 12 who had never before traveled so far from home. The incident, fortunately, was not as serious as it first appeared. A protruding rock enabled Malana to right his canoe and steer it into smoother water. On the lower reaches of the river, Malana had his first glimpse of the outside world. To the simple village lad, it was staggering. The Raja Brook, he later learned, was named after the English adventurer who, just over 100 years ago, had released the Dayaks from the oppression of pirates and rapacious Malay traders, and was chosen as the first white Raja of Sarawak. Eventually, Malana reached Cochin. After tying up his canoe, he stood amazed on the quayside. He saw for the first time wheeled vehicles, large stone and brick buildings, and metalled roads. His narrow escape from being run over turned out to be a blessing in disguise. The incident had been seen by a boy from St. Thomas's school, who immediately befriended Malana, and, hearing that he was a stranger in Cochin, offered to take him along to the school hostel. As they went, he told Malana how missionaries sent out by the SPG at the invitation of Raja Brooke in 1846 had built the original school for the education of the Dayaks and other races. The principal received the boy kindly, but questioned him closely about his home and the reason for his running away. He took pity on him and agreed to accept him as a pupil in the school. Malana soon settled down to the school routine of study, work, and play. He felt that he was at last among friends. He learned what it meant to be a Christian. It came to him as a revelation that God was not an evil power to be feared, but a loving father who desired only good for his children. One day, the principal talked with him about former head boys who had left the school and whose names adorned the roll of honor. Little did he guess that 5 years later, his own would be on that list. Now the time had come for him to leave St. Thomas's and to return to his village. In the chapel, whilst Malana knelt in prayer for the last time, the principal entered to give him his parting blessing. Remembering the lad's unhappy departure from home and desiring to give him advice in a way he would always remember, he had brought with him some candles, which he arranged in a row. These candles, he explained, represent your father and mother, your brothers and sisters, and your fellow villagers. This candle represents you. Go home now and pass on the light which you have received here. Remember always our Lord's teaching. Love your neighbors and love your enemies. Malana's homecoming was an occasion for rejoicing. His mother had scarcely set eyes on him before she was off to call his father. 5 years. How the boy had grown. They wanted to hear all that had happened in Cochin. What was in that box? Malana opened his suitcase and produced a small medicine chest, a Bible and some school books and presents for his parents. When, according to custom, a dance was held in his honor, the first thing that Malana noticed was the absence of the Manang and his son. The old man evidently still harbored ill feeling, but the son had once been a good friend. When, a little later, they both unobtrusively joined the circle, Malana, on the spur of the moment, decided to speak of his experiences during his 5 years' absence from the village. "My friends," he said, "since I ran away from home 5 years ago, I have learned many things. But what is most important, I have heard the good news that we no longer need fear the power of evil spirits, because God is our loving Father, and through his only Son, Jesus Christ, who died on the cross to save us all, we have fellowship with God and peace with all men." It was at that moment that the first Japanese aircraft were heard in the sky. The Japanese invasion of 1942 had started. "If this is the way of peace which you are teaching," cried the Manang, "you're a liar. By this heap will your lie be remembered forever." And in the traditional manner, he cast on the ground the first stick of the liar's heap, which would be added to by the sticks of passers-by. The Japanese swept through the land like the fires they created. They imposed forced labor on the villagers and took away most of their stocks of food. It was under these conditions that the training which Malana had received at St. Thomas's School began to assert itself. His readiness to help everyone, compared with the Manang's persistent refusals, made a deep impression on all the villagers during that long period of tribulation. It was noticeable now that the Manang's son was always ready to help Malana. But the liar's heap remained as evidence against him, and still the villagers threw sticks onto it as they passed. Later that evening, Malana bound up the old man's wounds in the way his first aid training had taught him. "Pass on your light," the principal had told him. Perhaps this was one way in which he could do so. The other villagers were indifferent to the old man's sufferings. Only Malana helped him because only he knew how to help. When he had done all he could, he went to his own room and prayed. After the Japanese surrender, and after 3 whole years of internment, the principal's first care was for his school. He saw the ruined buildings. But was the work of the school also lost? Would it not live in its former pupils? He felt it must. Indeed, it did. A letter from Malana confirmed this beyond all doubt. The principal at once went to talk the matter over with the bishop. In due course, they set out together to make the long journey up country to Malana's village. First, they travelled by motor launch. Then, as the river narrowed, they transferred to an outboard motorboat. They finished their river journey in a prahu or canoe. The river was lower than it had been when Malana came down it on his memorable journey many years previously, and they finally had to go on foot, through swamp and jungle, surmounting many obstacles on their way. Suddenly they came upon a church in an unexpected clearing. Their long and trying journey was indeed well rewarded, for there, in front of the simple mud and wattle building erected by the villagers under his direction, was Malana himself, teaching a class of children. A messenger was at once sent to the village to spread the news. Immediately, everyone started for the church. Malana's father and mother, men and women, old and young, even the Manang's son, but not the Manang himself. Because of what Malana had told them, every single one of them insisted on shaking the bishop and the principal by the hand. Later, the bishop examined the people to find out how much they had learned of the Christian faith. He discovered that Malana had taught them so well that he decided to hold a service before he left the village, admitting them all as catechumens or learners. Meanwhile, curiosity got the better of the Manang. At first, his only gesture was to spit derisively on the ground and walk away. In the church, little bark candles were set out by Malana, and all was ready for the service. Coming up the nave, the principal noticed that one candle was unlighted. Malana, pointing to the village, replied that this unlighted candle represented the Manang. But the Manang could not overcome his curiosity, and, as the old saying has it, he who inquires participates. As he crept closer to find out what was going on, Malana caught sight of him. Was it worth one more effort? He went out to entreat the Manang to join the people in the church. Perhaps, who knows, the Manang already wanted to believe and was waiting for some sign to convince him. Suddenly Malana pointed to the cross of light thrown onto his body by the sunshine streaming through the window. When the Manang turned and left the church, Malana thought that he had failed. Love your enemies, he had been told, and he'd certainly tried that difficult task. But he had not failed. The Manang had remembered the evidence piled up against Malana, the liar's heap, which stood only a short distance from where the church was now built. It was he who had started this symbol of disbelief against Malana, and it must be he who would finally destroy it. In so doing, though without perceiving it, he was himself reborn. Divesting himself of the many charms, part of his witch doctor's stock in trade, symbols of darkness, he cast them at the bishop's feet. And found peace with him who said, "I am the light of the world."